Here's the gist. I asked a few people to let me know what were some of their favorite films and what were one of the films that they really could not stand, nor do they ever want to watch again. And I decided I would watch them, and if I've already watched them, just talk about how I felt about them. This is not an in-depth criticism. I just wanted to talk about how other people's films made me feel. Okay. Let's start with Carol. Carol's the type of film that gives you a warmth in your heart but also sadness in your heart because of how relatable it is, especially if you're hiding from your family that you're gay. I've watched this film about 7 times and I've enjoyed every moment of it without any hesitation. I think each time it surprises me in the emotion it is because of the different stages I am in life. I think I first watched it before I realized just as I realized I was queer, properly realized I was queer. And then I came out and watched it and I'm like, whoa, it feels so different each time I watch it. I think it's such a brilliantly told film because it is very subtle in how it's told. It's like a drama, but it's not too dramatic. It's a romance, but it's not too romantic. And I don't like romance, except those few that I, do like. But they are 6 romantic films that I genuinely do enjoy. But I don't really like romance because it tells you how to feel. I think the nice thing with Carol is it doesn't. You get to conclude everything how you want to conclude it. You may either like or hate Carol, but your reasons, are up to you. You may either like or hate Therese, and the reasons are up to you. I'm not saying there's any reason to hate them per se, but I'm just saying that their likability is not based on the fact that it's forced upon you. It is mostly the fact that you can come to a conclusion yourself because these characters are real people. So however you feel about them is just based on their realness and your relation to people like them, which I enjoy. It's very subtly told, a character drama about a woman who is gay and has to hide it and is being told that it's a problem and then eventually decides, fuck that shit, I'm going to love who I want. And it's not necessarily like she runs into Teresa's arms. Is it Therese? Teresa's arms and says, love me, oh, we shall die together with Thelma and Louise is the situation. It's more about the fact that she states that she's going to be who she is no matter who she loves. So it may be Therese, it may not be, but at the end of the day she's going to be openly gay, and if she has to sacrifice the love she has for a kid for it, she's going to do it because she cannot pretend to be anyone else. If you won't let her see her kid because of who she is, what else is she going to do because it is who she is? And I'm not saying sacrifice your kids for love, but at the same time, that's what love is. It's saying that I am who I am as your mother, and this is what I'm going to present to you, and I'm going to be my realest self. And if legally the world won't allow me to see you, just know that I love you, and I did this because I love you. It's a very I don't know, the dynamics of the film are just very beautiful. There are lots of things you can digest and dissect and figure out about what the film is trying to tell you. I think Carol is a beautifully told story that deserves to be watched countless times, and I definitely understand why this is one of my friend's favorites. I love subtle films. They are my favorite. Baba Citizen I watched when it premiered on Mnet back in the days when I used to have DSTV in 2000 and whenever it came out. So obviously didn't see it in the cinema because I wasn't really an action, let's go watch it in the cinema type of person, because I was only 12 or something. I remember this love for films like Law Abiding Citizen that I never knew I had before. I didn't really know what it was, but I enjoyed the fact that there was this kind of confusion between the fact that this guy was actually not guilty because he was killing the people who killed someone he loved, right? So would you not also kind of give him leeway? He was a criminal, and it is the idea of no matter what you do, the law is the law. But at the same time, he was doing everything right until these people came and messed up his life. So he tortured them to death. I know it's kind of fucked up and he played twisted games on Jamie Foxx, but at the end of the day, sorry, I do not remember their character names. This Law Abiding Citizen was done so well that you were kept literally at the edge of your seat. It was such a good film. It was such an enjoyable crime, detective, thriller-esque, plot twisty kind of film. I enjoyed everything about it, and it did make me start questioning my morals, sort of. I'm not saying go kill people, of course not. I do not believe in murder. I don't really believe in violence, but at the same time I also look at violence in a very nuanced way. I'm just is it violence if you're just getting revenge? If you came and ruined my life and killed people that I loved, you are kind of the problem more than I am. And if the law is not doing what it needs to do to take these people down, then I guess I gotta do it myself. Because now my freaking family's murderers are busy walking around on these streets enjoying life, killing other people, and I'm supposed to just sit here and wait for the law to come through? Nah, nigga, nah. The police in general do not do what they're meant to do. I'm not surprised that, you know... Anyway, I also enjoyed the acting overall of the film. I enjoyed the camera work. I enjoyed the editing. There were no crossfades that irritated me this time. I enjoyed the drama of it all and the actionness of it all. I just think it did really well in keeping my heart racing constantly. And I enjoy Law Abiding Citizen to this day with no fail. I don't think I ever get tired of that film. It's something I need to watch because it's the type of film I wish to one day make. I wish to have such plot twist and drama and thriller in my films to a point where people are literally sitting on the edge of their seats questioning everything. Do they know anything? What are their morals? What is this film? I need more. That is what I want to create one day. John Wick is one of my favorite types of action films. I generally just enjoy it when it's about the action. I don't like it when you try to force, kind of deeper meanings behind why the action is happening, per se. I understand that his wife had just died, and literally because his wife just died, she got him a dog, and when he had this dog for literally like a day. He had the dog for like a day, and these people came and killed the dog because they wanted his car. That is literally all it's about, if that makes sense. It's deeper than that because he's John Wick, known to be a great assassin. But it's also simply because they took something away from him that his wife gifted him with. Because he had given up the, assassin life, literally, to be with this woman. Now she's gone and all he had from her was this dog. And there we go. The killing of the dog started the action. I enjoy films like that because they kind of give me what I'm here for. I'm here to see action-packed fights, my heart beating and stuff. As much as I know he's gonna win, I don't know how he's gonna win. That's the nice thing about action films. You never know exactly what the action sequence is or the sequence of events that's gonna make him win. And then obviously a whole bunch of other obstacles were thrown at him in the best way possible because he's John Wick again. He's a known assassin and they want to get rid of him. And he's going after someone's son who is well known. You know what I mean? It's just some rich kid who wants to get money because he's a rich kid and is a bully pretty much, and he fucked with John Wick and it was pretty much over from there. John Wick was a fantastic film, a great action film. I mean, there's nothing more I can ask for from an action film, to be honest, other than action. Because the only time an action film fails is if they try to force drama or if the action sequences are quite boring. If I just want to sleep, I'm like, okay, I don't care. But with John Wick, I enjoyed pretty much every moment, and obviously the rest of the franchise holds up. Then, if we look at Call Me By Your Name, of course, I definitely understand why people don't like this film. Also, especially because of the conversations that we're having a lot more on social media, it actually makes sense. What's the problem with this film? As much as it is white gay men, at the end of the day, the issue is that this guy was overage and he was underage. Pedophile vibes. He was not even 18, I think he was 16, and I think the guy was probably like 23. And I'm saying this from a point of view of someone who's been macked on by a 23-year-old when I was 16. He, wanted to kiss me and stuff. It was a bit weird. But at the time, I didn't know what the weirdness was because I was taught that if a guy likes you, they like you. It has nothing to do with age. I digress. The point is, Call Me By Your Name is one of those types of period drama, summer, romance. This is just a forbidden love, once in a moment kind of film. I don't know if any of you have read Eleanor and Park, my favorite romantic book, I guess. It's so beautiful. They tell you in the beginning that it's not going to end up a love story, and I understand why they're kids. But aside from that, it's because of the fact that in real life, as much as you want to love someone, the things around it don't allow for it to happen. It's not to do with race or sexuality, but more to do with the fact that people are fucked up, and sometimes when you're a teenager, you can't really fully love someone to the biggest capacity because, that is kind of what I think Call Me By Your Name wants to be, because it was adapted from a book. I've not read the book yet, but my sister has. She said it's even more explicit than the film. If we're looking at the dynamics of the relationship, it's kind of fucked up, and the romanticism behind it. If you're going to tell a story like this, you have to talk about the fucked upness about it too. The fact that the family just approves of the fact that their 16-year-old child was just having a love affair with an adult is a bit weird to me. I don't know if it's an Italian thing or a European thing or just a book thing. That's where the problem of the film lies, and because that is the entire thing about the film, it therefore becomes a problematic film. It is beautifully shot, beautifully acted, and it's the tone is there and the feel is there. The cinematography wasn't unnecessary. The editing, except for the crossfades, which I hate. and I'm sorry I use words like hate, I really am trying to stop. It's just I truly do not understand why people like crossfades. Finish the scene. Cut the scene, move on to the next scene. You know, everything else technically was done well. However, the story within itself is problematic. If they told the story how it was and they showed the fucked upness of it, then it would have been different. They didn't, which is the problem. The story could have literally stayed the same, this idea of romanticism within their bubble, and then you really looked at the fucked upness of it. Because him getting married to a woman at the end is not really that surprising. He's a man, they do that. You know, it's kind of like Dirty Dancing. Everyone romanticizes that film, but this guy was a very, very grown man who had sex with a child. And everyone's kind of just okay with it. Oh, Dirty Dancing, so sexy. Yeah, teenagers and old men having sex with each other, that's just great. We have to talk about these conversations, because if you bring out stuff like that and embrace things like that, then in reality, those things are going to happen, and then you can't get surprised when a bunch of adults think it's okay to date teenagers, and then you also can't get surprised when a bunch of teenagers think it's normal, and therefore don't really feel the weirdness of it, because you're telling them it's normal, even though they know deep down there's something wrong with this relationship I'm in. You know what I mean? Then you've got momentum.
Now, I keep saying momentum, and I mean memento. Don't ask me why, because I've written it correctly everywhere else on my notes, but when I say it out of my mouth, it's not the right word. I'm sorry.
Now this is the one that I do not understand why it was not liked. I can understand almost every other thing except this one. This one really boggled me, because Momentum is one of the greatest told thrillers, I think, that psychological thrillers that I've watched, because it's just. So the thing about Momentum is that it follows a guy who has short-term memory loss. So he can't remember anything past the time he had an accident with his wife, right? So what had happened was criminals broke into his house, they killed his wife, and they hit his head so hard that he lost the ability to create new memories. So he's just stuck in this loop of remembering the last thing that happened to him, and that's about it. So he has to constantly keep reminding himself about what's happening in his life as he's trying to find the people who killed his wife and, you know, seek revenge to ease his mind at the same time. Now, the reason this film is amazing is because it follows someone who has no memory, and you discover things the same way he almost discovers things, by unraveling what had happened. At first you think someone is the bad guy and someone is the good person, and then you find out that no, it's twisted around. You then also don't really know who this person is, you don't know who to trust, you just feel exactly like him. Because the minute your view changes to one person, you're like, but is that the actual view? Because if it can change once, it can change twice and 3 times, and who's who, we do not know, you know? So you're like, who do I trust within this film? Do you even trust the person who's telling you the story? You don't. You do not trust him, because even his story is a bit shady at the end. It is so beautifully, brilliantly told. And imagine trying to investigate something when you have no memory. You have to constantly tattoo the truth onto your body and write notes onto, like, you know, pictures and stuff. Write notes onto photos that you've taken of people, and you never know what's true. You don't know who to trust, you don't know what to do, you don't know what you're doing. You know what I mean? So it's a very complicated story that I think was told very well, and you know, it was described as, this is not the thing I thought it was going to be, and I'm not too sure what was expected of the film, but I think Momentum really did a very good job of keeping you unsure and unraveling and pretty much putting you in the head of the character very well. It is just amazing, and I truly enjoyed every moment of it. I'm not too sure why it was not liked by my sister, but I mean, to each their own. Maybe you don't like it either. I personally thought it was pretty good. If we look at Avengers Endgame, it was a very mixed reaction kind of movie. I feel like people didn't know how to feel per se. Either you loved it or you didn't, but there were reasons why you didn't and there were reasons why you did. I think with me, I'm kind of in between. It's not the same as Infinity War. Guys, Infinity War was amazing. Now, as much as I'll put a disclaimer, I don't read comic books. It's not because I don't like them, it's just because I never used to have access to them. So I'm not like a comic book, you know, connoisseur. Like, I know everything to do with comic books. So I feel like with Endgame, it was good, but not great. Even though it got 94% on Rotten Tomato, and Rotten Tomato is really critical about particular things, but somehow they've missed the fact that Endgame kind of lacked story. Kind of. There was weird empty spaces within it that were a bit weird. Like, I know it could be because they did a 5-year time jump, right? Which I guess had to happen because, you know, life had to progress. But at the same time, I feel like there was something empty about it. It wasn't a full, whole story. And I don't know what it is per se, because I guess I'd have to read the comic books for me to understand what was missing. But something felt empty, and I can't put my finger on it because it's not like I can write the story for them. They wrote the story how they wanted it to be, but there's obviously something they got rid of that couldn't make it into the movie. And also, I didn't understand the point of Captain Marvel. She was so powerful in her own film. What was the point of her in... Like, there was no need to rush her film because she was gone half the time. And when she came back, she didn't really do much. To be honest, she came at the end of the fight. Like, what was the reason for her? What was the reason for the rush of her film when she really was not an important character whatsoever? I'm sorry, like, you really did not use the woman in your film that well, except when Black Widow sacrificed her life. You know what I mean? Which, I guess, women are always sacrificial lambs within things, so really, what are we surprised by? Even that whole weird feminist moment she had, it was, ugh. I don't really understand why it happened. Obviously, we all knew Tony Stark was gonna die, so I already got paid off because it did happen, and I was pretty sad either way. I was very, very sad. I was like, oh shit, there's never gonna be another Iron Man, please don't try to replace him. No, for real, no one can be Tony Stark except Robert Downey Jr. It just really lacked something. It really was just missing content, and I can't figure out what it was, so I definitely understand why people weren't feeling it. It didn't give me the same feeling as Infinity War. I know it's not the same thing, but we left the theater of Infinity War feeling so satisfied and confused. And then you come back and then you have Endgame, which you've been waiting for forever, and it's okay. That is unfair. I'm just saying. I know it's the last movie, and I always say this, I feel like the last movies always have the worst. Last movies, last seasons just have the worst writing and the worst payoff. It's barely a good time. Like, I swear the only time a last movie had made me feel good, it was Bad Boys. I thoroughly enjoyed Bad Boys for Life. It was really good. So, Endgame didn't do the best for me. But luckily, because the franchise is still continuing, we luckily got Spider-Man and the likes. You know, Far Away From Home is not Endgame. So this is about Endgame. Let's just talk about that. So,